Hello everyone and welcome to JavaScript in Less Than 3, where I describe JavaScript concepts in under 3 minutes. Today we're going to talk about const. What is const? Why would we use it over let or var? Well, as I mentioned before, const is one way that we can assign a value to a variable, except actually really it's not a variable because it doesn't vary with const. So unlike with let and var, which I described in my previous videos, where you can change the value over time or in a loop or depending on context, with const you can't. With const, the idea is that it only exists as it is within that scope, and that's why it's called constant. It's constant, it doesn't change. However, the syntax is exactly the same. So const date of birth, for example. Now, someone's date of birth doesn't usually change. Not a piece of information that is likely to change. So let's say they were born on New Year's Day in 1961. This is a terrible example because it's got dots in it. Actually, we can just change it into a string. There we go. That's better. Okay, so for the sake of this example, it's a string and it tells us the date of their birth, right? Now this, as I said, this piece of information isn't going to change, it's constant. However, it is block scoped. So as we mentioned with let, if it exists within the world of curly brackets, so this goes for loops, functions, if statements, any of this stuff, if you define a constant within here, const dog's name equals Fido, you will not be able to access that outside of it. So you can't then say, well, I'll just use console log again. I'm trying to avoid it, but it's impossible. Dog's name, yeah? And you can see here it's still ghosted because the const only exists within this world. Trying to use it outside of that world is not possible. And so we only use const when something isn't going to change within that context. This becomes really important further down the line when you start using things like components or for loops or anything along these lines. It is often best to use a constant if you know that within that world, within that loop, within that if statement, you only need to use this value this one time and in this one way. So you only need it to be constant in that context. It's kind of hard to explain if you don't know what a loop is or an if statement, but hopefully with time that will become really clear. So that's the main difference between const and let and var. It is constant, it's designed for situations where the information will not change. Other than that, it's the same idea. So I hope that helps and I'll see you next time. Bye.